guys, welcome into IATD TV, and today we're going to take a minzo to talk about Jinzo. So for those of you unaware or perhaps unfamiliar or would just like a refresher, Jinzo is a level 6 Dark Machine effect monster whose effect reads as follows. Trap cards and their effects on the field cannot be activated. Negate all trap cards on the field. Now Jinzo with 2400 attack and 1500 defense points was probably the original example of power creep, where summoning a Summon Skull would probably win you the game, and now summoning Jinzo is probably the key to winning the game. Now, back in the day in Pharaoh 7, it was the original Chase Secret Rare, and so much so that it even got a very quick reprint, the infamous Tinzo Jinzo, and even the alternate artwork costs a few dollars as well. So why I wanted to talk to you about Jinzo today is because it's probably one of the most iconic and most famous monsters in the game, and for a number of reasons. Not only for how good it was, and the potential that it still has, but also for having some of the worst support ever printed. And of course I'm talking about Jinzo Lord. Now, Jinzo Lord is a monster that has 200 more attack points, requires an extra tribute, can only be special summoned by sending a face-up Jinzo to the graveyard, and has the same effect as Jinzo. And the only positive, if you want to call it that, is the ability to inflict an insignificant amount of burn damage to your opponent. And was probably laughed at as one of the worst retrains of a card ever printed. But recently, this year in the OCG, we've received some new Jinzo support, and I think it does make it a lot better. And I think it's something worth talking about. I don't think it's going to be meta by any stretch of the imagination or even rogue, but it certainly makes Jinzo a fun strategy and worth having a discussion about today. So the first card I wanted to talk to you about was the Jinzo XYZ monster that Konami produced, and that is Jinzo Layer, a rank 6 effect machine of XYZ effect monster with the following effect. You can detach one material from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls, take control of it till the end phase, but it cannot activate its effects or attack. If a trap card is on the field, you contribute one monster, and if you do, destroy one face-up card on the field. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now with 2400 attack and 1500 defense, we've got similar stat lines to the original Jinzo, and there'll be some cards that pair later on in this video with this card very well. We'll go into that a little bit later in the video, but we will see some of the magic cards that do utilize that Jinzo Layer effect very nicely. Next up, we have Menacing Jinzo, a level 7 effect monster with 2400 attack, 1500 defense, and the following effect. If a trap card is on the field or in the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, its level becomes 6 until the end of the turn. You contribute this card as a quick effect, special summon one Jinzo from your hand or graveyard, and then destroy all trap cards your opponent controls. If those were set, reveal them. You can only use each effect of Menacing Jinzo once per turn. Now with Menacing Jinzo, I think it's a very handy monster that allows you to get another level 6 on board for your rank 6 XYZ plays, and also it does give you some ability to see the back row of the opponent that you're playing against. If they're playing spell heavy, you still get to reveal them and you still get to see what they are, and that knowledge can be crucial when playing around those back row decks. Next up, we have Psycho GIGACYBER. Psycho GIGACYBER is an effect monster with 2200 attack, 1200 defense, and the following effect. If your opponent controls more spell and trap cards than you, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Psycho GIGACYBER once per turn this way. When this card declares an attack on opponent's effect monster while you control Jinzo, you contribute this card and place that opponent's monster in their spell and trap card zone as a face-up continuous trap. You can only use this effect of Psycho GIGACYBER once per turn. So it pairs nicely with Menacing Jinzo in that it gives them a trap card on their side of the field so that you can summon another one for the following turn. It also gives you extra XYZ fodder, as I mentioned. It's definitely an interesting card. I don't think it's going to be one of the best cards in this particular archetype, but it does give you some easily summonable level 6 monsters to make Jinzo Layer. Also, what I think nice about these sets is they're focusing on the duel between Esperoba and Joey Wheeler, and a lot of these cards are based around Esperoba himself, which I think is interesting, is not a lot of side characters actually get featured in the physical TCG, and we will see more in the following cards. Next up, we have Psycho Bounder, who is a level 4 machine effect monster with 1700 attack, 1000 defense, and the following effect. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one Jinzo or one spell and trap card that lists it specifically that name in its text from your deck to your hand, Before damage calculation, if another monster you control is attacked by an opponent's monster, you can destroy both the attacking monster and this card. So it's a nice little retrain of Psycho Bounder, and you can only use each effect once per turn. It's nice, it's going to give you a little bit of battle protection. I don't think it's necessarily something that you're going to play 3 of in a dedicated Jinzo strategy, but it's niche, it's nice. It's certainly a cool retrain, and it's nice to see Esperoba getting some cards printed like this. I don't think it's the best, but it could have some niche use here and there in the deck. Next up, we move on to the spell cards, and first up we have Law of the Cosmos, which you'll notice has Esperova's outline in the middle of the card. The effect reads as follows. It is a normal spell. Your opponent can set one spell or trap card directly from their hand or deck to the spell and trap card zone, and if they do, special summon one Jinzo from your deck. Otherwise, add one Jinzo or one monster that specifically lists that name in its tag from your deck to your hand. You can only activate one Law of the Cosmos per turn. It's a very handy searcher for the deck. It's going to get your play started, and putting a trap card on their side of the field helps out with Psycho GIGACYBER. And of course, if you get Jinzo out, they can't use the trap either. So it's a little bit susceptible to a hand trap, but aside from that, it's certainly a good card to help the archetype move along, and it's definitely a needed searcher. Next up, we have In Touch with the Cosmos, or At One with the Universe, depending on what the TCG translation turns out to be, which again is a continuous spell with the following effect. You can send one monster you control that is owned by your opponent to the graveyard. Special summon one machine monster from your hand or graveyard. When your opponent draws for the next normal draw phase, while you control a Jinzo, you can declare one type, monster, spell, or trap, reveal the card they drew, and if it is the declared type, send it to the graveyard. And if you do, draw one card. You can only use each effect of At One with the Universe once per turn, so it pairs nicely with Jinzo Lair, in the sense that it gives you a monster that you control that is owned by your opponent, which means you can and send it to the graveyard, and then activate At One with the Universe effect. It's very interesting, it's niche. It's certainly a nice interaction. Again, I don't think it's going to make anything meta-defining out of it, but it's certainly cool, and the fact that Esperova's on the card, and it's kind of a psychic prediction card, is absolutely hilarious to me. Next up, we have Cyber Energy Shock, which is a quick play spell card that has the following effect. If you control Jinzo, target one card on the field and destroy it. Then if it was a trap, apply one of these effects. Negate the effects of one face-up card on the field until the end of this turn, or each Jinzo control gains 800 attack. You can only activate one Cyber Energy Shock per turn. So it's a nice little negate if you control a Jinzo. So you can also use it for a little bit of extra battle damage, but you're probably going to use it for the negate. It's nice that it has that extra second effect though as a quick play, just to help stop your Jinzo getting run over by battle. It's good for the archetype. Again, it's not world record breaking, but it's certainly nice. Final card I wanted to go over is the Special DITITANIUM Metal, which is an absolutely awesome name for a card, and it has the following effect on a quick play spell. If you control Jinzo, activate one of these effects. Machine monsters you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects until the end of this turn. When a card or effect is activated that targets a machine monster you control, negate that effect. So again, it's some more protection for your Jinzo too, because of course we all know Jinzo succumbs to spell and trap removal, or spell removal I should say, like Raigeki or Tribute to the Doomed. And of course, you can give your Jinzo some protection and make it a bit more formidable in the deck, which certainly makes him easier to protect and keep out for those rank 6 plays as well. It's an interesting card, and I'm glad to see it in the archetype. So that about wraps it up for today's talk on Jinzo. We've looked at pretty much all the Jinzo cards, and I've said at the beginning of the video, I don't think it's going to be meta, but it's certainly a fun, interesting, casual strategy, and one that when I think comes to the TCG, I'm certainly going to try out for myself. So thank you for listening, check us out for future videos. This is IATD signing off, but if you did like what you see, give us a comment, a like, and a subscription, and share us with your friends. Thank you, peace out.